The country our class created was the country of Alahar. Officially, we had a democratic society, but really, we had a half capitalist, half communist society. Our country voted on a political party and laws as if we were a democracy, but in reality, the party that had the most people won. So it wasn't really a democratic system, but more a majority rule system. As well, one person owned most of the hexes, including the energy plant, instead of the government. So we had a very capitalist economy. As well, food and shelter were given out for free to the people within the winning party, so a communist society was also evident. In actuality, our country had a couple similarities with Canada, but it was still pretty different. It was similar in the sense that we held elections to elect prime ministers and representatives in the House of Commons. We also held auctions to see who would pay the most for land, and this is similar to Canada as it mimics someone putting a piece of land up for sale. But also, we had a lot of differences. For example, we ran our government as a capitalist communist government. This is definitely not the way that the Canadian government runs their country. Also, the majority of the class was in one party, so that party was guaranteed to win the election. In Canada, a representation by population system is used so that this doesn't happen. Managing a country is a lot harder than it seems. Not that it seemed easy to begin with. Even something as simple as trying to find the right wording for a bow became pretty challenging. Making sure that you worded everything so that there was no room for interpretation proved extremely difficult. As well, I was a capitalist citizen, so my goal was to make sure hexes stayed privatized. The hidden agendas made everything extremely complicated. For instance, before the game, I thought it would be a good idea to have a communist society where everything was given out for free, but once I got my hidden capitalist agenda, all of that went out the window. Also, we didn't exactly treat the weakest members of society very well. Our strategy was to buy up the most amount of hexes as possible and leave none for the other party. As Erin put it, you join us or die. So we didn't exactly treat our weakest members very nicely. But because we were the party elected into office, we gave out healthcare and education, as it was owned by the government. I think this means that even though we had a very every-man-for-himself style of government, we also didn't want to see other people completely fail. I think we did a relatively decent job of running the government. Despite the fact that we had a majority in the House of Commons, which made it more a dictatorship than democracy, we could have created some pretty obscure bills and still had them passed. I think our nation's treatment of the weak can be best related to Haiti. No, you didn't hear me wrong. I said Haiti, the third world country with no real government to speak of. Our country had no social net to help people if they didn't have any money or income to support themselves. This is similar to Haiti, where they too do not have a social net to support their weakest members of society, such as income welfare, subsidized housing, or food stamps. The difference between Haiti and our country, Alahara, is that Haiti offers free education to students up until the equivalent of grade 12. This is not the case in Alahara, and even though education was owned by the government, you still had to pay a fee for education units. You hear that? Even Haiti had a better education system than we did. Another difference between Haiti and Alahara's treatment of the weak is that in Haiti, there is no real healthcare program to speak of, as the country is so bankrupt that they cannot afford to supply any form of healthcare to their people. In Alahara, we had some form of healthcare. Despite the fact that you had to pay for healthcare units, it was available to people. Overall, I learned a lot by doing the Civic mirror. Firstly, I learned a lot about politics by doing this simulation. You can sit in class and be taught hundreds of lessons, but until you actually get to experience what politics and democracy is actually like, I don't think you have a full grasp on the concepts. As well, I learned that even a democratic type of government isn't flawless. I assume that because USA, Canada, and most other countries have democracy, then it must have been the best, most flawless way to run a government, and this is in fact not the case. Democracy isn't any less flawed than a dictatorship or communism. It just allows the public to feel like they are part of the government's decisions. Also, I learned how complicated government and politics can really be. I didn't really know all that much about political systems before beginning Civic Mirror, and I've learned that having a democracy comes with a whole lot of problems.